Hi again guys, another bullet video. So we're still sort of ongoing with the engine rebuild. Just to sort of bring you up to speed, what's happened is I'd gotten to the stage where I was ready to put all the barrel and top end and everything back together. and although I checked the scavenge pump delivery as in the previous video, I really wanted to be absolutely certain that everything inside the timing case was okay, and taking off the timing case cover also gave me an opportunity to change the oil filter and reprime the whole oil filter chamber, which you can't do when it's on the bike because of course this is front facing. So while I was doing this, I decided to strip down the whole oil pump assembly. So we've got the spindle out, as you can see there. Got some high spots, but there's still plenty of wear on that, so that's not in any danger of failing anytime soon. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use some I'm going to take these, which are the oil pumps. This one's the delivery pump with the smaller hole, and as you can see this surface here, if I can kind of rotate it around so you can get an idea, you see you've got a shiny bit in the middle and the grey bit there. Now that shows that that's mating reasonably well. However, what I want to do is lap these in a little better. The scavenge pump, which I'll show you here, as you can see, is nothing like as good, and it's obviously missing a seal on the upper part, which these pumps being very rudimentary at best anyway, then the best seal that you can get here, the better the seal that you can get here rather, is the better the oil delivery via the main and the scavenge pumps is going to be, and the better for your engine. The more oil that's pumping around there, the better it is, because the better it's lubricated. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to lap in these pump faces into the pump itself, which is this bit up here for the scavenge pump and this bit up here for the main pump. They're both essentially the same size and everything. It's just that the scavenge pump has a much larger plunger because it's got further to push the oil, and it needs to transfer more oil. Well, it needs more pressure because it's got to shove it right the way up to the cylinder head. Now, some people apparently use fine grinding paste. This being the oil pump, that's not something that I would be prepared to do anyway, even though it's going to get a thorough degreasing, clean out and a blowout with compressed air afterwards. But grinding paste, fine or otherwise, is horrible stuff really, as anyone who's used it on valves will know, and the last thing I want to do is get any of it stuck in here. So what I'm going to use, and as recommended by Hitchcock's, which is a great source of parts, is Autosol, which apparently is abrasive enough, but it's very fine abrasive paste, but it's abrasive enough to actually do this job and give a satisfactory finish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. To lap it in, I'm just going to use the smaller suction end of a double-ended lapping stick, which you would suction onto a valve and use like so, in a back and forth motion. You wouldn't put one in a drill and just continuously go around. Incidentally, it has to be an oscillating motion to properly bed in there. Same process with this as you would with a valve. You can buy, again from Hitchcock's, a special valve lapping a special oil pump lapping tool, which is a bar with a couple of pins that slots into here. Alternatively, you could actually make one using a dowel and a couple of pins, for example, or something similar. I've found just from a quick practice that this works reasonably well enough. I mean, it won't suction on because obviously of the size, but it grips it well enough to just give it the rotation that you need in there. One thing that is useful, or that would be useful, is an extra pair of hands. And I may have to resort to using a vise because I don't have an extra pair of hands. And my small extra pair of hands is currently elsewhere. Although he's not actually at school today, but he's currently elsewhere. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the Autosol directly onto the face, and it is going to get everywhere, it's going to get in the holes and everything, so don't worry unduly about that. As I say, when you do this, if you do this, this would have to be done with this off the bike and the oil pump assembly stripped anyway, because you really do need to give this a thorough degreasing and a clean out with compressed air afterwards. So we'll pop that into there like so and put it sort of into position as it would be. And what I'm going to do is just see if I can do this one-handed just at the moment. Okay, well that's not perfect, but that's not actually bad. Certainly, as I say, an extra pair of hands to hold this while you actually lap it would be the ideal scenario. So as per valve lapping, a good few rotations and then pop it out, give the surfaces a wipe and have a check and see how that's coming along. Now, because this is a very fine abrasive paste, it's obviously going to take a little while, so I'll sort of plug on with that and come back once I've got a nice surface. But the procedure is going to be the same for the front and the back. And as I say, with Autosol being a very fine abrasive paste, it is going to take a little while to get a nice even satin finish on there. So I'll pop back shortly and show you the end result. Right, so we're back after quite a bit of time lapping in this this disc at the back here. It's still not quite complete, but if you compare this to how it was in the before portion, it's still not quite fully lapped in, but it's getting there. Obviously with the Solvol not being obviously with the Autosol not being particularly abrasive, it's going to take a little bit longer than it would with grinding paste, and it will achieve a smoother finish, but you can see just there how much more smoothly that rotates in there. But I'll just pop that out and I'll show you this side of it, and you'll notice now, if I can angle that, how that's much more smooth and overall shiny. Now with grinding paste, what it would do is give an overall sort of grey finish as you would get when lapping in a valve. Now obviously with the Autosol, what it's doing there is it's smoothing down the very, very fine milled grooves in there and achieving a nice smooth surface, and likewise in here as well, so that when this sits in here, especially once it's got oil flowing through, that will create a really nice tight seal, which will rock around on there and should allow more oil flow through suction and pumping the oil back through. It should give a greater flow of oil. So I've got a little bit more to do on this one. The one slight difference is the method of seating this in. I found that even the small suction cup was actually a little awkward on this, and I was catching the edges, wasn't working very well, or as well as I'd expected. So what I've done instead is, using an old wire coat hanger, I've rigged up a little twin-pronged helping hand, as it were, which I will just get a hold of and show you how that works. Okay, so just here's the little assisting handle I made. It's a wire coat hanger bent double with a couple of bends at the end there. Now these prongs fit into the holes, which I'll show you in just a second. They're bent to ensure that they will not pass fully through the holes, because obviously what you don't want to do is start gouging lines as you're actually seating in the valve here. So it seats in the valve like so, and you can put it in that way or that way, and that will allow you to adjust which side you're putting more pressure on. So for example, you put it in there and you're putting a little bit more pressure on the top as you're rotating it, and you can put some additional pressure with your thumb while you're using the handle to give you a bit more leverage there. So I found that works quite well. I mean, obviously if you do have the tool, the proper tool from Hitchcock's, then that would be better, or if you actually made one yourself with a piece of steel bar or a piece of dowel and a couple of pegs, then again that would probably work a little bit better, because you could put downward pressure on while you're rotating it and probably get things done a little bit more quickly. But I found this worked quite well. So I'll say a little bit more to do on this one. So basically fits in like so, this in here, and then you can, with your thumb on there for a bit more pressure, and use that as a helping hand to rotate that and help bed it in. So I've got a little bit more to do on this rear one. Once I'm happy with that, I'll do exactly the same on the front one, which currently looks like this. So as you can see, it's not quite as bad as the rear one was, but it's still going to take a little bit of bedding in until I'm entirely happy with that. And once that's done, it'll be a really good clear out with some WD-40 and degreaser, especially through all the oil ways here, especially these two in the middle which go into the plunger hole, through there, and then a very good clean out of the entire timing case and all the oil ways in here inside the oil filter, and basically the quill bolt, and anywhere where there's an oil way is going to get very thoroughly blown out with compressed air from the compressor. This is something that's essential, a really good degreaser, blow everything out with compressed air, and then it's just a case of re-oiling everything and reassembling the whole oil pump, spindle and everything else, and the end pieces, making sure that you reassemble with plenty of oil. And then of course once you fill the timing chest with oil upon reassembly, that will work its way in there as well, and it should be good for pumping oil straight away. So I hope this has been useful. Thank you for watching.